from this reverend. He was at the Southern Baptist Convention, and he's a white reverend. But when he don't preach in no white churches.
Y'all can come up.
Well, you gotta come on. Mom can't get up.
Mom,
Yeah.
Got this crap in here too.
Brother Raymond, you want to open us up?
may we bow our heads in the name of Jesus. We ask our divine presence tonight. Be present with the teacher, that he might open up our book and teach us things that we need to know, that we can continue this journey through this way solid.
Yes, Lord.
We need you, Lord.
Yes.
We can't do nothing without you.
Yes.
Help us right now,
Right now.
in the name of Jesus. And those of us who are not feeling so well, oh God, energize us
Yes.
with thy Holy Spirit, that we might, oh God, praise your name and give your name the glory. And if you grant these petitions, we be careful in our lives to give your name the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless. Come on in, folks. Welcome back. I was just bragging on you singing. I was. Here you go,
Yeah.
guys.
What's up?
Hey,
What's up?
hey, do this.
What's up, young fella? Get over that down.
Okay. Lord, I just ask that you give me the unction to teach tonight in the power and the way that you would have it done.
Amen.
Yes, I ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
The Christian I might have been.
Mm-hmm.
If you read with me, this comes from Isaiah 48:17-19. It says, "Thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, I am the Lord thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. O that thou hast hearkened to my commandments, then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, and the offspring of the boughs like the gravel thereof. His name should not have been cut off nor destroyed from before me." Isaiah wrote about Jesus Christ hundreds of years before Jesus Christ showed up on this planet. He gave the names for Jesus Christ. He said they shall call him Wonderful. They shall call him Counselor. All right? They shall call him the Prince of Peace. Long before he was on this planet.
Yes, sir.
The saddest regrets will be this. The Christian I might have been. Sometimes, as a song says, when I look back over my life.
Try to think things over.
You know what?
Testimony.
We can't, as human beings, forget, and we try. But every once in a while, the devil gets a dart in there and says, "Remember when you did so-and-so?" And it starts eating at us. And it can create a pity party so bad that it takes your mind right off of Jesus.
Lord, yeah.
But I tell you what, if you can get your mind, as they say, stay your mind
Stay
on Jesus,
Yeah.
Your mind stayed on.
let me tell you, I can look back now and say, "Lord, you brought me from a mighty long way."
Oh, thank
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
It will be the regret, it will be the anguish moan of the lost who do not the Lord. And I know I don't want to be moaning. I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be like, knees don't hurt no more. I can clap and I can shout, and I can do that now. They say, "Mr. Miller, you're the only man in the building that don't need a microphone.
All right.
We hear you up the hall." It will be the regret of countless Christians saved as by the fire who might have been better saints if only they had made their experience of Christ their all-inclusive business. They made everything else in the church their business, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Who taking care of the money? Who taking care of this? Who's taking care of that? But let me ask you this. We should be taking care of each other. Okay? Just like when I said we planting. She came in last week, I looked over, and she was over there pulling weeds. I remember the garden. I just, that's it. And then my garden is open to this whole congregation. We plan on planting hopefully enough collard greens, kale. I got okra all over the place, red, green. I got different kinds of string beans. But it's not so that you can look down the hill and go, oh, that looks good. Bring you a plastic bag next time. Many are backslidden and living in the world. And how many more, for lack of feeding on the world, resting in the world, and exercising themselves unto godliness, never grow but are babes feeding on milk instead of meat all their lives. Today, we were watching the news, my wife and I, when I came in, I was hungry, I sat down real quick, so I stopped at the fish place, bought a piece of fish, turned on the news real quick, and the Boy Scouts today declared that they will now take no longer a birth certificate to tell whether it's a boy, whatever they put on the application. So if it's a girl who wants to be a boy, she's in. There's so much deception going on around us in the world, but it's not only going on there, it's going on in the church. And that brings me to this. It says, and how many more feeding on the word, resting in the Lord, and exercising themselves under godliness, but never grow out of being babes feeding on milk. The tragedy of the might have been, okay? Because they came to church every Sunday, they came to choir rehearsal, they came to Bible study, but their brain, God said he would sear their minds like with a hot poker, and they wouldn't hear the word. And so they never developed a relationship. But see, we got some roosters in the pulpit too. And that brings me to the tragedy of the barnyard rooster.
Come on.
Okay? It says there was a farmer and his family who every morning when the sun would rise, they would get up because the rooster would crow. Thus the farmer would get up when he heard that cock-a-doodle-doo, and I'm just ad-libbing here, and the farmer's wife would get up, and so on. She would wake the rest of the farming family up, but one morning, this so-called rooster would begin to have some foul logic. And if you understand what I mean, some foul logic, he didn't wake up and crow that this was his idea. If I don't wake up and I don't crow, the sun's not going to come up. And if the sun don't come up, the farmer not going to get up. If the farmer don't get up, the wife's not going to get up. If the wife don't get up, the kids ain't going to get up. Then who going to take care of the farm? So he said, I'm going to start staying up all night. And then I'm going to crow so that the sun comes up to wake the farm up. Well, after about a couple of months of this rooster with this foul logic thinking because of me and my crowing that the world revolves around me, they finally took him away to the Wayward House for tragic roosters, okay? Some of us call it a steam pot, all right? Because that's how some of them in that pulpit get.
Come on.
All right? They get up there and they become wayward roosters. They went from, I love my flock, I care for your soul, I want to deliver your word, but now the world revolves around me. Okay? And too many people sit in the pulpit and they never hear the word, they're too busy admiring the man.
Come on, son, preach that.
It's just gotten to the point where whose soul are you there to save? Are you there to save your pocket souls? All right? I remember seeing, pastors wear $20 shoes off the J.C. Penney rack to see the pastor go to having his shoes made in his office. That's not taking care of your flock. It doesn't revolve. We talked about 2 weeks ago. It's not about you. It's about God. It's about your soul. It's about going to heaven and going before him and hearing those words, job well done. All right? Anyway, I finished with the crooked rooster, but it's become the same way in many churches. If the pastor doesn't get up and crow the same way as usual, his congregation would never rise to meet him, meaning their pastor, in the air, because that's all they talk about. And I'm not talking about any, churches or anything in the area, but we've all been to a church where we've seen it go from here to there and humble to, well, I belong to so-and-so. And what matter? What are you learning? Can you give me some of the meat that you're feeding on? Because I know I got a long ways to go. All right? This walk is not, it can't stop. We don't get to a point here and say, I've arrived. We don't arrive until the trumpet sounds and Jesus calls and we end up meeting him in the air. Then we get transformed into a perfect body. We get to go with him home. That's what I'm calling home. Because this place down here, all you got to do is watch the news. People are nuts. Today they were making, a guy was coming to shoot some kids at a school. And her mother took some tactical training and had her gun on him. She shot the shooter. It's like, all right. My question is, what should we learn from the life of Isaiah? I'm going back to the Old Testament, okay? Because Isaiah was one of the greatest prophets there was in the Old Testament. When you look at the book of Isaiah, he's called one of the major prophets as compared to like Micah or Malachi, who got a few pages here or a couple pages there, all right? You look at Isaiah, what does it say? Isaiah got 66 books? And there's 66 books in the Bible, all right? And thank you, Reverend Bellamy, for that. I had him for my Bible teacher on the books of the Bible, all right? Answer, Isaiah, whose name means Yahweh is salvation. He's telling you hundreds of years before he got here that he is going to become the way of our salvation. He is best for writing the book that bears his name in the Old Testament. His writings are especially significant for the prophecies he made about the coming Messiah hundreds of years before Jesus was born. Isaiah 7:14 reads, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." Emmanuel meaning God is with us. Okay? And many people will say, well, I believe there's a God, but I don't believe in a virgin birth. Sorry, you got to take it all. You just can't cafeteria line. I'll have a little of this. I have a little Buddhism. I have a little bit of this. They're teaching kids now. I didn't show up for it. But we see some of the little kids in school. This is how they teach them to relax now. Gets up, go punch somebody else in the face. So I don't think that's quite working for them. All right? But they're teaching them all kinds of yoga, Kundalini yoga, how to have an outer spirit. These kids are 8 years old. Number one, the Bible said we're not supposed to try and have an outer body experience. Anyway, going on. Isaiah prophesied of the virgin birth of Christ. In Isaiah 9:1-7, it says, "Never the peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this." Isaiah prophesied of the growing of the church of Jesus Christ and his preaching and the shedding of light on man and his situation